head's invisible. Hi guys, and welcome to another video. Today I'm doing a bit of a commission video for the Norfolk Scouts, but I also thought it was quite a nice one to show you along at the same time. So what we're looking at is how to navigate using natural foliage if you have complete cloud cover where you can't locate where the sun is. So if you're using the sun, you know it's going to be for north, or you know it's going to be east or west depending on the time of the day, and with that you can also work out north and south. But if you've got no sun or whatsoever, or you're stuck in thick dense jungle or forest, there are other ways which you can find your general direction, north, south, east or west, by using the natural foliage. So I'm going to cut into the video which I did for the Scouts, and it's got some good tips and good knowledge sort of to have a look at, and then it's just something to be up there in the back of your mind. If you ever get lost, if you can, so in a survival situation, we always want to be the highest as we can. So if we're in a jungle or a large forest, if we can climb to the top of a tree and overlook the canopy, we might find there is a natural feature you want to get to, or you can see a man-made mast or tower, and you can work out what direction that is by looking at the sun, or if you've got some sort of generalisation of north, south, east and west when you're up there. When you get back down to the canopy again, you're going to have none of that whatsoever, so you can be walking around in circles and zigzags all over the place. So getting a generalisation of the bearing you're walking on by understanding the foliage of the trees and sort of stuff around you, it's going to really help you on the way. Alright, but that's it, let's move on to the other channel. So today we're going to be looking at some navigation aids which you could use whilst out in the woods where you haven't got access to a compass and you haven't got access to the sun. So what have we got around us? Well, you can see this in front of me already here. I've got lots and lots of natural foliage around me, where if you understand how the sun works and you understand how nature works, you can actually do some very basic navigational aids or navigational skills by using the natural foliage of trees and some habits of insects and animals to aid you in a general and give you the general direction of north, south, east and west. So why would we need this? So why would we need to think about navigation inside a woodblock? For instance, I'm inside a woodblock. What do we do in Scouts and woodblocks? We generally play wide games, don't we? And that's where we can run around, maybe on your own little groups in the woods, playing little games. And at the end of the game, a whistle generally goes, and you come back to the leader. But what if you went too far and you couldn't hear the whistle, or the whistle didn't work? The leader, or I generally say that to my Scouts, if you head north or south or east or west, doesn't matter which direction, you'll get to a cardinal point. Yeah? When I say cardinal point, I mean a prominent point in the ground which you can navigate from. So let's just say, right, let's just say for instance, we're inside this woodblock here, and I'm going to be, as a leader, I'm going to put myself in the top of the woodblock, which is at the north. Yeah, and that's where the green field, where the car park is. And all the Scouts are going to be going down to the south. Yeah, and in the woods all around me. Yeah, so if I then said to them, if you get lost or you're not sure where you are, or at the end of the game, you hear the whistle and you need to know which direction to go, turn north and just walk north until you get to the green field, and then you go across the green field and you're going to get to me in the car park. Or I might say, if I know there's a river or a road going alongside one of the areas, I might say if you turn east and keep walking east, you'll eventually come towards a road. When you get to that road, turn right and that will walk up the hill, and you get to the car park at the top of the hill. Yeah, so there's two ways around it, but again we need to understand how we can find north and south. In an ideal world, we all know the sun rises in the east and it goes over the top of us and sets in the west. Yes, that's good if you can see the sun. What if you can't see the sun, or you're at night time and you can't see the sun? Or like today, if you look up behind me, yeah, if you look up behind me over there, I have no sun, or there's not really much sun at all. This is cloud, or you might be in dense cover, dense foliage cover and trees, yeah, in which you can't see things around you. Okay, so we know the sun rises in the east and sets in the west. So if we're in the morning, if we see the sun in the morning, we know if we turn towards the sun, we're going to be east. If we turn in the afternoon, we turn to the sun, we're going to be inside the west. All right, so that's east and west sort of sorted. But we also live in the northern hemisphere. So as the sun goes up and over the top of us during the past of the day, it's going to go across the equator, and the equator is south towards us. So therefore, if we're casting any shadows, so if the sun is actually shining on us, generally a shadow at midday will be casting towards the north, because the sun is directly behind us and the shadow is casting over to the north and all northerly direction. So we can tell with a shadow sometimes, but that is a big key though to where we can use natural foliage. So sun is on the south and it shows towards the north. Yeah, so let's just say for now the north is behind me and the sun's facing towards my face. If I was a tree, remember trees, they need the sun to do photosynthesis so they can turn the light into energy and sugars and keep them growing. So all of the trees, not all of the trees, but a lot of the trees' focus is going to be capturing as much of that sun as physically possible. So a lot of their leaves and branches will be more concentrated on the southern side of the tree itself. So if you've got the tree sort of saying like this, yeah, the sun's coming in this direction, so all the branches will be facing towards the sun. So when we look up at trees, yeah, we can look down. If we see a good 80% of the portion of the tree foliage facing that direction, or a direction, that is going to really tell you it's sunny. Right, so that will give you a southerly direction. But what if you can't see the trees and sort of on the leaves over there? There's another thing we could also use. Okay, so we've learned that the trees like and the leaves like the grass, like the sunlight, so I come onto them. There's also another type of foliage or plants which actually likes more of the damp, dreary sort of environment, and that's moss and lichen. So moss and lichen is a type of plant which you've probably all seen it. You can use moss for a whole load of different things, and cleaning up with that. And lichen is another type of sort of organism which lives on trees, and it also lives on rocks. These things like the dark, dampy, airy environment. So because there's lots of shade and the cold wind and that sort of stuff will be on the northern side of trees and rocks. That's where you'll generally find the northern direction. So if you're looking around, so if you want to really make sure, if you've got foliage on one side of the tree and you've got moss and lichen on the other side of the tree, then generally you will basically know you are facing north and south. You've got that north-southerly line, and from that you can then work out which is east and west, or northwest, northeast, southeast, southwest. It's going to give you a generalisation of the bearing you're going to be walking on. So that's the sort of things we're going to look at. I'm going to turn this camera around now, and I'm just walking around some woods in Fritton, and I've come across some really good signs of all this, which I can show you exactly what we're looking at. At the same time, I've also got my trusty compass, the silver compass, out with me as well, just to prove to you the fact that they are north and south. We're going to look at different sorts of trees and different sorts of lichen and moss, and we can just get a generalisation. So never just take the first one for granted, because it might just be fate or luck. So you want to see, we work, as survival, we always say we work on the rules of three, don't we? So you want 3 clear signs of the north-south line with the trees. Once you've got those 3 clear signs, you know which direction you're walking. So let's have a quick look then. Okay, so I'm walking down this track now, and I want to see which of the north and south sort of on there. We've got no cloud. As we see, there's a little bit of cloud, and it's very sort of things. But if you're looking up, we can see all these pine trees down here. We've got the branch coming up, and then suddenly we've got all these limbs that's coming off one side, but if we look on all of these all these pines, limbs are only really coming off, most of it is coming off this one direction, the direction which I'm actually looking at, and you can see that all the way down this footpath. Yes, you can see there that all the limbs are facing that direction. And so, what's that generally telling me? We've already learnt that the sun comes from the south, and all the limbs and the foliage wants to go towards the south. So, if I'm facing towards the limbs, the south is going to be behind me, and north is going to be this direction. Yeah, we can see on here. So, all these trees down this path are showing me the same thing. So let's have a quick look then, shall we? Let's get the compass out, and we'll see now which way we are facing. Yeah, so here we go. So north is on the red line, yeah, and facing towards that direction. If we look up, yeah, we can see the limbs are over there, facing there. So now we know that north is this direction, and all these pine trees are all facing that direction. Right, so that's the first one. So as I said, we want to do more than one sign, so we need 3 signs ready. So we need to look for either lichen or moss, and we also need to make sure we can locate possibly another tree, maybe doing the same sort of thing as well. So I'm going to keep walking around this track and to work out where else we can actually go. Okay, so I've just come across now a tree with lots of moss sort of on here, and this is what I'm talking about, the lichen. Yeah, it's on the edge over here. So this is a type of sort of fungi, really. And it lives on a whole load of different, mainly find it on rocks and that sort of stuff, but we've got it on here. Then we've got a load of moss again. So we said the moss and the lichen likes to be on the northern side of trees and rocks, mainly because it wants the shade and the shelter. We can also see on here, we've got this tree next to it, it's got loads and loads of lichen, sort of all coming down as well. So, what direction is that? So if I'm facing towards the lichen, generally, I should be looking at the southern direction, shouldn't I? So, let's have a quick look, let's get the compass out again. Okay, so we've got the moss there, so the compass, we should be facing south. We can see now that the northern line is facing on there, so if I rotate my compass round to the northern line, that at the very, very back of the compass is south, and there's where the lichen is. So, and moss. So that's our second confirmation that we now know that the moss and the lichen on this tree is facing south. And actually, if I look on the same tree as well, that all of the branches are facing in that direction at the same time as well. And luckily for me, I've been saying there's no sun. The sun has just come out. It's been cloudy all day. It's been raining and that sort of stuff. The sun's just come out, and it's midday. So it's midday. So what should I be looking at as well? If it's midday, my shadow should basically be casting north, shouldn't it? Okay, I've gone for the woods a lot more now, and I've walked around to see any more sort of signs. I'm in the open now, but you can also see that some of the trees and I'm still in the open. That means they'll get quite a lot of sun all the way around anyway. But there's bends in trees and the limbs sort of coming over, and we've got this birch tree right next to me. And again, most of the birch tree limbs are all on the southern side of the tree. There are a few on the northern side. There's only 1 or 2, but majority of them, 80% of them, are all on the southern side of the tree, which we already confirmed that sort of earlier on as well. So I'll just get the compass out. We can prove to you one more time. We'll look down at the compass, and we are generally roughly facing our northern pointer again. Yeah, so you can see that. So if I spin around a little bit more, yeah, so north is actually over here, but you can see the trees are all roughly on the southern side of the limb itself. Okay, so there is one more sort of thing you can look for. I said about insects and that. Generally, because we've already talked about insects, because we've already talked about the northern side of the trees and the rocks are generally where the cold prevailing northerly winds come from. It's also, they don't get as much sunlight, and it's usually a lot colder and cooler. Animals don't like that. Yeah, they don't want the cold winds coming into their burrows, into their dens, or sets. So they will, on the side of a hill or side of a, see, there's some sort of hills coming over there, like mounds and that sort of stuff. They will generally dig in on the southern side, so they will get sunlight sort of coming inside them, and less likely to get this cold northerly wind sort of coming in there. So if you see badger dens, there we go, if you see badger dens or fox sets, they are generally going to be on the southern side of the hill or the mound you're going into. And the other thing to look out for is ants. Ants' nests will generally be on the southern side of the trees as well. I've walked around this woodblock here. I can't actually show you any ants' nests or that sort of stuff. And if I come across some, I'll show you some more. Okay, so bit of added footage. I've just come across this nice birch tree here, which is leaning towards the southerly direction. We already know all that, but just to confirm that I've just found a little burrow of some sort of animal and burrow at the base of this tree. So you can just see it just over here. So we've just come over. There we go. Yeah, so just behind this fern, we've got a little burrow just being burrowed into the tree over there. There are snakes and that around where I am, so it's probably more likely to be maybe a snake or some sort of rodent inside that area. So I'm not going to be playing around with it, but it just shows you, just using a little bit of natural knowledge and information, you can sometimes find some things to steer you in the right direction. Okay, so I hope you enjoyed that little bit of information, how to navigate naturally inside the woods and find a way of safety over there. Just remember those little skills. They could be lifesavers in eventual survival situation. So if you can get yourself up high, so say if you're in a wood block, like quite a dense wood block, and if you can get yourself up to a high elevation and you can see an area of safety in the distance, and you can work out which way that is, north, south, east or west, and then suddenly you drop yourself back into the wood block again, you can use the natural foliage sort of come around there to get you out to safety. Oh, this weather's coming right down onto me now. But that's it for me today. Just remember, it's better to be one with the wilderness than the fight and struggle. Until the next video, see you then. Bye for now.